What are we here to talk about? We're here to talk about this book right here, Isolation. Okay, written by the man himself, Doug Bratton. The artist on the inside is it Delia? Is that how you say it?
Delia Gunderson.
Delia, okay. The way it's spelled, it's tough to know how. Delia Gunderson. She's going to be a guest on this show in 2 weeks. We're going to interview her. She just recently did an interview on Instagram with Nerdy Girl. We want to get the word out on this, and there's some cool variant covers on that. You're going to be able to see. We're going to show coming up. So I think let me see. Sorry, guys, I lost my place here. So what is it? It's here's the 10-cent description. Isolation, a mystery series with fantasy and horror elements, is framed by the overarching story of a researcher investigating 3 periods of murder which occurred in 1869, 1919, and 1949. 49, isn't that when you were born, Dave? The comic, written by Doug Bratton, is beautifully illustrated and lettered by 3 Kubert School graduates, and is already in pre-production for a July release. So what date is that? July? Because we're a week away from July.
So if we were a bigger company like a DC or Marvel, we would just say it's coming out July 20, whatever, and then if something went wrong with printing, it would get bumped a week. But since it's our first and only so far release, we didn't put the date on it because of the printing supply chain issues with paper. I do know we are, knock on wood, currently ahead of schedule, which is great. But I have not been given a date yet. So I will say it will definitely be out before July 31st, but hopefully closer to the first couple of 2 or 3 weeks of July.
Okay.
Nice. You heard it here first, guys. It's coming out on July 32nd. Let's go.
If you don't get it, you can reach out to Doug Bratton on Instagram.
There you go.
And if you go to the description of this video, I forgot to say, you will find Doug Bratton's Instagram link. You will find his Facebook link. You will find the press release from for this book on Reggie Collect's website. And you will also see the newest blog from Doug Bratton. There's a link there that says Sandman Finally. Because we all know from Cranky Canadian interview, Doug Bratton has been all in on Sandman. I just recently fell upon issues 1 through 4, and I got 2 issues of number 4.
Nice.
And I might be sending those off to CGC, or buy them, sell them raw while it's hot.
Yeah.
But that's coming out soon. So he has a blog where he talks about that, and you have links to the other blogs that he did about that Sandman issue, especially the list of which books are key and hot and which are the first appearances and which ones you want to get. So you might want to read that now before it blows up and go find them in those dollar bins.
And about half of those books are not listed in Key Collector yet. So they will be at some point.
You know what is? This guy right here.
It is.
Which was cool. I thought that was pretty cool. So
we showing off cover A, cover B on this yet, or
we haven't yet? Go ahead.
Oh, so we got cover A.
So we have cover A, the trade dress, and the Virgin. It's pretty cool, right there.
That Virgin just begs for like a nice little remark. Top right corner, bottom left corner. Right. Just saying.
And then we have so these are 2 other variants. And there's another one that hasn't been released yet. I think you had your thumb over it today in the Instagram post.
Correct.
Are these the same artist? Are these Delia?
The one with the officer pointing the flashlight and the gun is by Delia. The Death Dealer homage is not. That's by another artist, Eddie. I always know him as Eddie Draws It because that's his Instagram, but I think it's Eddie Del Real, and it was colored by another artist, so it was kind of 2 working in tandem.
Okay,
awesome.
So the one that you had covered with your thumb, can you tell us who that artist is?
I cannot tell you who the artist is yet, but
which is fine. I get it. No,
there's a reason for that. There's a reason, and I think that will be announced pretty soon.
Yeah, I think you said coming up on Reggie's YouTube channel, you guys are going to be showing it off, and I'm assuming that's when you're going to talk about the artist and who it is and stuff.
Yeah, and if you've watched Reggie's show. When the artist is introduced, you may recognize her. So I gave something away.
There you go. You heard it here first.
You heard it here first.
There you go.
It's a little bit. Doug, do you have a variant? Did you do you have your own variant cover yourself? Did you think of doing a variant or?
No, that's not kind of my style or skill set. But who knows? Maybe someday down the road, if you know, I don't know. I don't know if people would my style doesn't quite mesh with the tone of the comic. I'll say that.
Yeah, because I completely dropped the ball because I had from that article from Go Comics a whole bunch of the clips of pictures of the comics that you had done, and like the Winnie the Pooh ones freaking cracked me up. And I for whatever reason I didn't load them on the StreamYard. I literally made them up on Canva and everything, and I don't know what the hell happened. I didn't put them in StreamYard. So
no worries.
If you ever Google Doug Bratton interview, Go Comics from 2015. There's a whole bunch of clips of the kind of strips that he does, and it's got a very kind of Far Side Calvin and Hobbes feel to it. Very comical, because you're a cartoonist, right? I mean, that's what you consider yourself.
Yeah, I was a newspaper cartoonist and a magazine cartoonist for about 15 years, a little over 15 years. So. And I mainly did single gag panel comics, and did the magazines I did some work for that people would be familiar with were our Mad Magazine and Nickelodeon magazines.
That's awesome.
Nice. That's
awesome. A little bit about Doug here, if you can read this real quick. Doug Bratton wears many hats. So much include writer, cartoonist, and comic collector. Doug's syndicated comic panel pop culture shock therapy appeared in newspapers and digital media throughout the country over 15 years. 2010, it was nominated for a Reuben Division Award, which is the Oscars of cartooning, for Best Newspaper Comic Panel. Doug's comics have also appeared in Mad Magazine, Nickelodeon, and numerous other publications. His comics have been collected in book form, most known the Deranged Stalkers Journal of Pop Culture. I just recently bought that. I didn't know this was a thing, so I went on Amazon and I bought a copy of it.
Nice.
Coming July 5th, and I'm going to check that out, and I'm sure it's going to be awesome. Doug has appeared as a speaker on comics and syndications at New York Comic Con, Associate Collegiate Press, National College Media Conference, and his original comic art has been displayed in the Museum of Comic and Cartoon Art in New York. Doug is a regular contributor to ReggieComics.com, as a blogger on comic collecting and related topics, Smartest Man in Comics. If you ever read his blogs, you'll know why I say that. In his life outside of comics writing, Doug's a husband, father, public health nonprofit executive director. That's a lot going on. You got a lot. You do wear many hats, and it was what I thought.
That's fantastic.
I mean, I've been waiting. I don't know what else I got to do to get Doug to do a goddamn 300 homage for me. But you can only beg so much. Like whenever I ask for stuff, people jump. I ask for stuff, they say, "Yeah, we'll get to it."
That was like one of our rules when we were brainstorming cover ideas. We were like, okay, if we do an homage, we cannot do an ASM 300 cover. There's just so many out there.
Yeah, but Roger would buy a couple.
Yeah,
that's true. People buy them. There's a reason.
Sorry, maybe you do a blank and then you can do a commission for me.
I love it. That's hysterical.
And so that's a little bit about Doug, and when I was reading this article, so you started doing cartoons, like you were in college and you had the website, which was Pop Culture Shock Therapy.
It was after I was out of college, but I started doing it as a web comic, and then self-syndicating to college papers, and then it kind of built up, and then some alternative news weeklies, and then it was picked up by Go Comics, which is the digital syndication, I guess, department or division of Andrews McMeel, which was Universal Press Syndicate, which did like Calvin and Hobbes and a bunch of those bigger comics.
So the self-syndicating for us stupid electricians basically means you're promoting yourself. Is that
you sell it yourself and you do all that work, but you keep all the money too. With a syndicate, when you're picked up by a corporate syndicate, they take on the marketing and the sales, and then it's generally speaking a 50-50 split of royalties that you earn.
Nice. And then you've as a cartoonist have gotten some accolades. I mean, you're accepted as a member of the National Cartoonist Society in 2008. That must have been pretty cool.
That was incredible. And it was the New York chapter. Since I live in New Jersey, there actually is a New Jersey chapter as well. But I originally got connected with the NCS through a cartooning partner of mine, Bill Alger, who was out of New York at the time, and got to know a lot of the chapter members, who are some just incredible comic artists, cartoonists, and that in of itself was phenomenal. And I was actually the chapter president for 4 years of that as well.
That's pretty cool. And then nominated for a Reuben Division Award for Best Newspaper Comic Panel in 2010. So what like, is it just like an overall panel, or is it one specific one? Like,
no, you submit a sample of your work published that year. And for me, that was the year that Andrews McMeel published the Deranged Stalkers Journal of Pop Culture Shock Therapy. So that was a good year. And I submitted, and I was one of 3 cartoonists nominated. I did not win, but I was very honored and am still proud to have been nominated. And somewhere behind me is my certificate. I might dig around and pull it out
behind that stack of comic books.
Yeah, exactly. I was taking out a bunch of books that I've been published in. I'm going to mess something up, guys.
Well done.
All right.
Nice.
There we go.
That's awesome.
And Jeff Keane, who does the Family Circus, was the president that year and drew a little.
Oh, wow.
If you,
I see it.
You'll notice
cool.
the picture
That is awesome.
of Jeffy, who his father, Bill Keane, started the Family Circus, and it's obviously a legacy strip now. But the character Jeffy was based off of his son Jeff, who now does the Family Circus. So.
That's awesome. And Dave, you
that's
kind of
great to be recognized that way. That's awesome.
Yeah,
totally.
You dropped the ball on this one. Highlight this guy, man. I know you've been away a little bit, man.
I've been away for a while.
You gotta hit it before you highlight him, man. And what I found interesting is because of where you live in New Jersey, you were around the corner from the Kubert, Joe Kubert. What academy is that? What is it? The what do they call it? The school art school. You were like 7 years old taking lessons and classes with Joe Kubert on Saturdays. Like, instead, we were all eating Rice Krispies in front of the TV watching cartoons, and you were actually taking cartoon classes.
Yeah, I was incredibly lucky to live where I lived and to be near the Kubert School. And it's one of the reasons that when we when I pitched Isolation to Reggie, I also asked if I could recommend some artists, or at least an artist. And I knew the Kubert School would be a tremendous resource. There are so many incredible, talented artists that come out of it and work in the field. And I had seen Delia, who's the lead artist, and the other two are Elena Morton, who's Delia's artist assistant, who helps with like layouts and background art and things like that. Right. And Beth Sharland, who is the letterer on the comic. But I met Delia at the Kubert School, and she was doing a comic for some band that I'm too old and not cool enough to know about. And it hasn't come out yet, because I think they're timing it with an album release or something. But I saw her doing work on that and was blown away by her artwork. And stylistically, it was also a period comic, which, although it's not as much reflected in the ash can, because it's only the first small part of the comic, as Roger mentioned, most of the story takes place in 1869, 1919, and 1949. And I felt it was really important to have an artist who could capture different time periods, and her work was perfect for it. So we pitched Delia to Reggie, and he was like, "She's dope. We're using her."
And when you said you met her, like, are you still involved with the Kubert School?
Yeah, I live very close by, and I know. So Joe Kubert obviously passed away a number of years ago. His sons Adam and Andy ran it for a little while, but then passed it on to a Kubert School graduate, Anthony Marquez, who is himself an incredibly talented artist. And now he's I think the owner and like the headmaster. I'm not sure the exact title of the school. So I keep in touch. I support it. I go over there a lot. They also run a comic shop out of the store. So my LCS is Dewey's Comic City, which is attached to the school. And I met Delia through open houses, and she works a couple of days a week in their art supply store and comic shop that I'm in a lot. So
that's awesome.
Nice.
That's good stuff. I think
real good.
I'm pretty sure Everett's brother went to Kubert School of.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm
awesome.
I'm pretty sure. And Power Kid Comics. Shout out to Power Kid Comics. We're going to be hopefully next to him at Terrificon again. Big news to come between Three Men in the Basement and him in the near future. But
nice.
So we're speaking of the artist, Dave. Let's show the interiors on those things.
Oh.
So these are the interiors that we're allowed to show, because they're on Reggie's website. I'm not doing anything illegal.
The Reggie approved interiors.
I don't want to get beat down by the Swoldier. I don't want. So let's. I'm really digging the art on this. Everything in that ash can has got me going. I love it.
It's the black and white. I just love the black and white. Is just, you would think it's like, oh, it's not that over the top, but like when you get into the story, like again, just the couple pages that we've seen, it almost adds to it. So I'm digging it.
Yeah, me too, 100%. I mean, this is so cool. Look at the detail, like the books on the bookshelves, the ladder, like that can't be easy to draw, like,
no,
you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a hell of a lot of detail. And the fact that it's black and white doesn't take away from that. I think it adds to that.
Yeah,
not at all.
It's easy to add color to shit, but when you're just drawing something and you have this much detail in it, from the wrinkles in the guy's pants, with the flashlight shining on it, to the the stripes on the gun pointing down the hallway, and the art on the left side of the wall of the hallway, like there's just so much detail that went into this.
Yeah, even the cop in the doorway up in the top left hand corner, like
right, you just see the bottoms of his pants.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, and then looking into the closet, I mean, I can't wait to see this thing in full size, so I can really look and see what's in that closet, because I think you could probably see everything that's in her. So does she use? Is she using watercolors for this stuff, or is it chalk, or how does she
ink
use her
wash.
technique? Ink
In,
wash.
nice.
in ink wash, she basically paints each page. She just paints it in grayscales, and it's the original art is just unbelievably beautiful. I've already bought several pages. So
I love it. And then here's the last one we got. Probably
Yeah,
the
this is my
consensus favorite across
Yeah.
the panel. So
Yeah.
The stars, the guy smoking a butt, like the horses, the hair on the horses, the tone on the horses. You know, like horses have different spots and stuff. Like the way she added that, and the horse chewing on the grass. I mean, there's just so much detail that went into this. You know, it's art.
And gentlemen, that is not a splash page. That is one panel on
that's crazy.
on a page. Now, I think it's a pretty large one, but it's, you know, the attention to detail in the artwork is just incredible.
It's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Love
And
it.
I'm telling you, there's not a bad page in the bunch. I told Delia, she didn't believe me, but I think she gets it now. I'm like, the day you're allowed to sell the pages, she's allowed to sell it to, like, I bought some pages, Reggie bought a couple, I think, you know, a couple of her like relatives bought a couple, but she can't sell them broadly until the comic comes out. I'm like, you're gonna sell every single page in a week,
Doug,
and you're gonna have a wait list.
You know somebody, and maybe you could just put in that person's ear that I want that.
I'll let her know.
If you happen to know somebody, I don't know. Like,
I do. I think that might be one of the 2 pages she flagged to keep herself, but I don't. I could be wrong.
Listen, I wouldn't blame her. I wouldn't blame her. That thing is dope. I think anything I could get from her as part of this art is phenomenal. She's amazing. I've never heard of her until this. I've been, I follow her on Instagram now. I'm looking at some of the stuff she does, and it's absolutely amazing. So
our inbox is gonna blow up with all the commission requests.
Oh my god,
they're gonna come through.
Yeah,
I'm just like, I hope 10 years from now, like, she still pretends she remembers me, because she's going places for sure.
Yeah.
So how much
awesome.
how much direction do you give her? Like, is it like a script you're giving her, and you're saying, okay, you're kind of describing you're describing each panel, or are you just saying this is what's supposed to happen, and she puts the panels together herself?
Yeah, I do give a script, and it's page by page, panel by panel, but it is a balance between saying enough about what detail you need in the panel while knowing that you have a talented artist who has better design sense than you do. So it's that balance between, like, hey, I need these 4 panels on this page. Here's what needs to be in it, and here's the dialogue, but then allowing her to visually lay out and decide, how big the panel is, what's the right angle and lighting and the mood. It was a lot of fun working with Delia on that, because we had a lot of conversations about it. There were times where she'd call me up and say, hey, this page, you have, like 5 panels, and I think if I put these 2 together, it would work better visually because of X, Y, and Z. And I would say, great, yeah, go for it. And every time, we're working on issue 2 now, so she sends me the layouts for approval before it goes on to the ink wash stage. And every time I get a page, I'm just like super excited to see it.
Yeah,
Nice.
That's awesome.
That's great.
So let's talk a little bit about Reggie. So Reggie is publishing this. He has started his own publishing company called Swoldier Publishing.
Yep.
So when he first he did publish a book called is it the Smart Guide? God, I didn't write it. Smart Guide to Collecting. Is that what it's called?
The Guide to Smart Comic Collecting.
All right.
Yep.
Smart.
Yep.
I was close. I was so close.
You're right there.
just a bit
Doug-
outside.
Doug's got the 9.8 behind his shoulder. Yeah.
Somewhere.
There it is.
Yeah,
There it is.
I was lucky enough to have a good friend get me one of those when I was too smart to pre-order. So thank you for that, Doug. So that was he self-published that, but he didn't really have a publishing company, right? So now he has created a publishing company because I'm almost guessing he needed to become to have something that's going to be on a continuous basis.
Yeah, I feel like the best way to describe it is the book was almost like proof of concept. It was, hey, we think there's an audience and a market for this type of content, but we didn't know. And, you know, we co-wrote that together. And when we started doing it, we're like, you know, are we going to sell 100 copies? Are we going to sell 200? You know, what? Yeah. We don't know what it's going to look like. And we ended up doing 2 print runs of it and sold over 4,000 copies and just stopped. Stopped after that because we're like, we can't just keep doing print run after print run just because it's time consuming and the printing costs are diminishing returns when you're printing in smaller batches. But the both print runs sold out within, I think the second one was basically just pre-order, but the first print run sold out within like 3 days of it being released. So, and that told us that, hey, there is a market. Reggie's an incredibly bright man. He's really well connected in the comics community and the comics world. You know, he's a brilliant marketer, and that worked really well. And Reggie was kind of like, okay, what's the next step? There's more that we can do. And I think he'd always dreamed of putting out original content. So that proof of concept led to Swoldier Publishing. And I think on the book, he put like Swoldier, like his logo. Mm-hmm. And when he did it, I'm like, that's it. That's your brand. That's your publishing brand. So,
yeah, right. Yeah.
And then, you know, obviously I was very fortunate that because we worked really well together on the book, that I was well positioned to pitch him a project that I had, you know, had in the back of my mind for a decade and had probably over the last 3+ years really started putting together, and pitched Isolation to Reggie, and was just incredibly fortunate that he was willing to take a chance on it, because, you know, it'd have been a lot easier for him to say, give me a one shot, or let's do like a 3-issue series. And I told him, I'm like, this is a lot bigger than that. It's a longer series. I understand the risks of doing a longer series, that it could get canceled. Comics get canceled all the time. But I think it's really good. It's really interesting. It's really different from what's out there in the market. I think it can build an audience over time. And with that risk also comes reward. If we do something that's a little bit bigger and different, then that provides other opportunities down the road for what else we could do with Isolation.
Absolutely. So this story for Isolation is something you've been working on for a few years on your own.
Yep.
With the you're like, I'm going to create this thing. Maybe someday I can do something with it. Is that how it goes? Like, what's in your mindset like when you start doing this?
So I think all creative people, you know, get a million ideas, and you can't do them all. If you try and do them all, you don't do any, and you don't focus. So when I was doing pop culture shock therapy for, you know, 15+ years, that was all I had time for. So I keep notebooks, and when I'd have other ideas that I thought were good or interesting, I just jot them down and they'd sit on the shelf. When I stopped doing pop culture shock therapy, I wanted to do something different, and isolation was one of 2 projects in the notebook that I'm like, that I that's what I want to spend some time developing. And the funny thing is, I had in mind it as a comic series from working in comics, and I thought it would be graphically and visually interesting. But I also knew how hard it is to break into the comics world, having done it many years before, and how limited the number of publishers are. So I actually, after writing a script and a pitch, stopped and actually wrote a novel, which is essentially the first third of kind of 3 major story arcs. Just because I figured, okay, there's like hundreds of publishing companies that publish novels. And when I finished it, or I finished a draft of it and was kind of getting feedback and reworking it, that's when everything happened with the book. And I was like, well, okay, I'll pitch it as a comic, because I think that's the format that it was really intended for.
So you published, you have a novel that's published, or you just wrote the novel and never did anything with it?
No, I wrote the first draft of the novel, was in the middle of a revision of probably several. Most people don't just write a novel and send it out. You gotta
read it 300 times and change it.
yeah, you gotta make it really ready for the market before you start
I read my working meals 15 times and change them before I send them. I can't imagine a novel.
Yeah, so but I paused that, and I would like to finish revising that and publish that as well. I think, I put a lot of time into that too, but right now I'm solely focused on getting the best comics done that we can get done.
So that novel has nothing to do with the story with isolation.
Oh no, it's like would be essentially what would be the first 11 to 12 issues of the comic series. Okay. So yeah, cool. Which makes writing the scripts kind of easier.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be cool to read if you publish that afterwards. The novelization of your comic. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Doug wrote the omnibus before he wrote the single.
That's genius.
I wouldn't recommend that to everybody else, because it takes a lot longer, but it just kind of happened that way, and it worked out quite well for me. And I think for the series, I think especially the characters early on are probably more well developed because I did that first.
Right. And I think part of that is the age that we live in now. People are more drawn to obscure independent comics than they are Marvel, DC, even Image. Like something comes out, and people are like, well, that looks intense. I'm going to read that, and what didn't used to be that 15 years ago. People were like, oh, you're not published by Marvel and DC. I'm not reading you. So I think that must play into the ability for you to be able to pull this off, and your relationship with Reggie.
Yeah, I hope so. I do think there are collectors who love superheroes and want nothing to do with anything that's not superhero related. But on the flip side, I think there's a lot of comic readers that are like, yeah, I read Spider-Man and Batman and X-Men, and I already have those. What's something that's a little bit different and unique? And that's where the independent comics that are out there, I think, that have found a good audience, where that comes into play.
Yep.
Yeah. The fact that you can be original. I mean, that's, there's a lot of originality has been lost in the DC Marvel. They got to write the same characters everybody knows. Independent guy like you can do something completely original and create brand new, and I think people are digging it.
Some of those things, like you know, the Jesus Christ, what's Department of Truth.
Yep.
You know, I started reading Nice House on the Lake. I read the first 4, and then I got, I love them. Like, you read a couple issues of a story like that, and you give it a chance because there's so many great ones out there. And judging by your creativity and stuff, I think you're gonna draw people in. I think, especially not only your creativity but the art that goes along with it.
Yep.
Comics are marriage of word and picture, and if you have great art but a not so good story, you're only going to buy so many copies, for a cover. On the flip side, if you have great writing but the art doesn't capture your attention or your imagination, or then you might not stick with it, through the ups and the downs. So I feel like you got to have both. I'm hoping that's what certainly we're trying to do with the team we've assembled, is to have a really unique, interesting story that keeps people's attention, and amazing art that makes you just want to turn every page and see what's next.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And as I said, in the description, guys, you have links to Doug's Instagram, his Facebook. You have a link to the press release for Isolation will take you to Reggie Collect's website. You can, from there, if you go to the homepage, you can pre-order Isolation, right, from his website. I also put a link to the Go Comics interview that I was referencing, so you can see the cool cartoons that Doug wrote. And there's also a link to Doug's latest blog on Reggie Collect's website. It's Netflix Sandman Finally. We all know that Doug is all in with Sandman, and I hope it's a great series. I don't know much about it, but I'm gonna watch only because of you, Doug.
Netflix, August 5th, circled on my calendar.
Nice.
God, awesome.
So we talked about Delia. What more can you tell us about the other artists that are part of this? Because you told us she went to the Kubert School and you met her locally. Are the other 2 artists local as well? Or?
Yeah, Elena and Beth both also graduated from the Kubert School. I did not know them. Delia did. So once we recruited Delia to the project, Delia recommended Elena and Beth, and they've been great as well. I think they're both on Instagram as well. It's Beth Charland and Elena Morton, and they're both artists too. It's Beth is the letterer, but is also an artist in her own right. And if you go on their Instagram, you can check out their work. They're both extremely talented too, and I think you'll see more of their work in the future.
And,
awesome.
And what I find kind of like in the 3 Men in a Basement lore, and I should have done this at the beginning. So shout out to Otto. He couldn't make it tonight. He's very busy. Summer's come around. He travels the world. He's got all
it's the summer of Otto.
It's the summer of Otto every summer.
He showed up at my shop today.
Yeah, he showed up. He shows up at the shop with the brother, and he takes all sorts of pictures, and he sees movies, and he goes to Atlantic City, and he takes my kid with him, and they're all over the place, and they're doing all sorts of stuff. But one of the most talked about things in our history is when we were at Terrificon and we were doing a random live show, and he gets Tom King to sit down. We have no idea who he is when he steps off the elevator and says, "Hey, brother, did you have a good time? Come sit down with us." And there's very Gary and Justin Nemesis Prime going, "That's Tom King." and Tom King sits down, and he's the premier writer of the Batman story, and at that time we found out that night that he was ending his Batman. He was starting a new project. He was like, "You heard it here first." And Everett's first question to him was, "Who was your biggest artist influencer when you were growing up?"
Well, in Otto's defense, Darkside Jedi kind of set him up with that, and it's like the running gag between all of us, I think, at this point. And Otto knew as soon as it left his mouth, like if he had the possibility to just like reach out and grab those words and put them back in. But yeah, I love. It's one of my favorite things.
And Tom King was like, "Well, artists. Well, I'm a writer, but if it just like." And like this guy, he sat there. Tom King was the best. So we have Doug Bratton, who wins awards as a cartoonist, published in magazines and newspapers and syndicates, and you're writing a comic. You're not.
You're the writer.
Drawing.
What artist influenced you?
Yeah, what artist influenced your writing? What artist influenced your writing? If that isn't Three Man in the Basement right there, like you grew up being a cartoonist and drawing and doing that, and your biggest project at the moment is as a writer. I think that's hysterical.
Yeah. Well, comics are words and pictures. So even when I was doing the newspaper and magazine comics, what drew me to it more than anything was the creativity and coming up with a gag and writing that. I enjoyed the drawing as well, but the writing side of it was always important to me. And I love comics and comic artists. There are the thing that sucked me into the hobby originally for sure was George Perez's New Teen Titans, actually his annual #1 painted cover for the New Teen Titans was the thing that really sucked me in. So
was that poster that Everett was giving away at the Dave? Do you remember that poster that Everett was giving away at the
swap? I can't remember what
I think that was the annual #1 cover, but it was it was a bigger version of it. And I knew through talking to you, Doug, as you said, we become pretty close, and I'm very fond of you, and have become great friends. But you had mentioned one time you were writing a novel. I didn't realize that was what this was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I hope someday, I think that would be pretty cool. Like you get this comic. My opinion is going to be successful between the writing and the art. This is going to be something that people are going to enjoy, and it's going to be successful. But to go back, whether it's a year, 2 years, or whatever, and publish the novel version of the comic, I think would be pretty cool.
That would be a lot of fun. And if the comic does well, that will likely open doors for the novel.
Sure, absolutely.
Like anything, publishers are looking for something that they can sell, and if there's a built-in audience already, that helps.
And Reggie's a smart guy. He's a smart businessman. He's he's smart when it comes to his outlook on comics collecting and all the things that he does. Any of the videos he does is always a unique outlook on stuff. And he's one of the smartest things he's done is paired himself up with you. In my opinion, whether it was starting to just bring you on these little, he'd bring you on for 10, 15 minutes to talk about something specific, to realizing that your blogs are unique and they really do add something to his website. And I think that he would have been a fool not to buy into this idea.
I appreciate it. I think we both feel very fortunate that we have different interests and abilities, but we're similar in certain ways and work really well together and appreciate each other and the rest of the creative team. So it's been a pleasure to work on the project. I'm excited for it to be out in the world. And Roger, to your point, yes, I feel like I've been fortunate over the last couple of years to meet some really, really great people through the hobby. And you're at the top of the heap. Before I met Roger, I was watching Three Men in the Basement on YouTube. So I legitimately can honestly say I was a fan of your channel before we ever talked. So
I appreciate that. It's very kind words. It's been a great ride. I mean, this whole YouTube thing and meeting people after COVID ended and getting to actually finally meet people, whether it was shows or little shows, Terrificon, that kind of stuff. and we're still going to meet up. I finally have a place that we're going to meet to go digging.
Nice.
It's about midway between you and us.
Perfect.
Out in Danbury, little honey hole. So we're definitely going to do that. The brother, you got something for Doug?
Yeah, what about Terrificon? Are you gonna make the trek to Terrificon? You're either bringing stuff or just as a fan digging?
I came up last year just for the fun of it. When are the dates of that?
So July 28th.
Yeah, so last weekend in
July.
It's
like the 28th, 29th, or
30th, whatever that is.
Sorry, not
Friday,
the 20th. Thursday's the 20th. So 29, 30, 31.
I'm going to check my schedule. I'd love to come up. I'm actually traveling quite a distance right before that, and I have my vacation right after. So it's going to be trickier this year.
Vacation?
Yeah, I need
no
one.
days off.
You're working on
no
your
days
book
off allowed.
Yeah.
We got a super chat, gents. Michael the Beast, Comics. Great to see you for tonight. Awesome show. Sweet.
This guy's got some good books. I have seen his
part
stuff.
of the first family of comics right there.
Yep.
His dad's in here too. Let's give him a little show me the money.
I like it.
Hey, I got Bob Sugar on the other line. I better hear you say it.
Yeah, no. Show you the money.
Not show you. Show me the money.
Show me the money.
Yeah. Louder.
Show me the money.
That's it, brother, but you got to yell that shit.
Show me the money.
I need to feel you, Jerry.
Show me the money.
Jerry, you better yell. Show me the money. Show me the money.
I love it. Dave and the K, what do you got? Anything for our guest?
No, I mean, other than I'm excited to see, kind of what holds this book, or what the story holds. I mean, again, the few pages that I saw, definitely hooked me, and definitely wanted to see what happens next. And after we end up here, I'm gonna have to pre-order that bad boy, that's for sure. So no, I'm stoked for it. Really excited, and again, a fellow Jersey guy. Let's go. I want to see it be successful for sure. So
I'm telling you, like
Thank
4
you.
pages, and at the end of it, I'm like,
Like,
what?
what? Like,
what
Where does it go?
There's a lot more. It gets intense.
Listen, can I just get your novel? Can you just show me a copy?
We'll take the notes in the margins. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Hey, I have a secret I could share with you guys, and it's partially a sales pitch too. But the pre-order that Dave mentioned is going on reggiecollects.com. There's like a Swoldier publishing and an isolation tab. It's hard to miss. And that goes through, I think, 4th of July weekend. So I want to say July 4th or 5th, that gets cut off. But the thing that I will share with you and anybody watching, so there's the cover A, which is the same as the ash can that Roger showed. Then the one next to it, the Virgin, is actually cover E, which is the premium copy that will be a Virgin cover with spot gloss on all the color and then black matte on all the rest.
Oh, that's awesome.
All of those are limited to 250 copies, and they're all triple signed.
Nice.
By Delia, Reggie, and me.
Wow.
And those are $29.99, which we felt was, compared to a lot of other low print run copies, was not too expensive. But those are selling quite quickly. So if anybody's interested in the cover E, I'll just say there's not a ton left. And then also the other cover that Delia did, not the Death Dealer homage, but the one of the kind of the cop pointing the gun in the flashlight. That is the 1:25 ratio. So for the comic shops, there's a certain number set aside for them, but the total print run of that book is, I believe, $350. And that one you can order on Reggie's website too, and I think it's like $13. That one is also getting low. So just all the covers are awesome. Read whichever one you want, get whichever one you like. But if you're interested in some of the lower print run, harder to get specialty ones, those two probably aren't going to be around for too much longer.
Nice.
Very nice.
So those of you who don't see this,
Hey.
right? So this is it. We got cover E, cover A.
And cover A is like $5.99. So
B. See, even this one's only $12.99.
yeah,
Oh,
that's the
and this one here, it's only $29.99. I mean, that's dope right there. So
Yeah, it
here's
is.
all your covers.
And
Delia Gunnarsson, cover B is Edgar Del Real, and colors by Dakota Urhan. I'm sorry if I butchered that.
yeah, Dakota. I think I didn't mention him. He is also from the Kubert School and was the other artist who like painted that digitally. So he's phenomenal.
There's
Yep.
your print runs there. 750, 250. So
you can see why that the 300 and the 250, those are because of pre-sales. Those have gotten a lot lower.
it'll be signed by you, Gunnarsson, and Reggie.
Yes, that's the cover E. Yep.
Yeah. So the only thing I didn't see in it, is there a place to purchase all of them, or you just got to go one at a time? And
I think you just click on a cover,
add to cart,
and put the quantity, add to cart, and go back. Yeah, and there are also, I think he also has CGC 9.8 and Yellow Label 9.8 that you can get too. Yeah,
I did see that.
nice.
Okay, Raj, you can put 2 in your cart of each, and you got my birthday gift also.
there you go.
Yeah,
And
make
I
it easy
know
for
a
us.
guy. I know a guy. If
Oh,
you buy
man.
any for friends, I know a guy who might be able to sign a couple for you.
I would appreciate that. Yeah.
Do all your
I-
Christmas shopping in July.
Oh, legit Christmas. in July.
Dan,
Let's
Dave,
go.
it's too bad I already bought your present.
Ah, jeez. Did I ruin a
Yeah.
surprise? I'm sorry.
It's it's a sticker mule. Okay.
Boom.
I already got one of those.
Wait a minute. I threw in one of these.
Hey.
I got more of those than I know what to do with.
Oh well, I mean, if you don't want a present, then there's nothing I can do about that.
Hey, beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Whatever.
What's up, Nigel? How you doing, brother?
Hey, Nigel. Good to see you.
So, I mean, Doug, we appreciate having you on. This has been great talking about isolation. I am so looking forward to this. I really, for a while there, I was reading a lot of comics and I was doing reviews on them, and it got to be so overwhelming that I burnt myself out and I pulled back. And I have some books that I really want to read. Radiant Black is one of them. Some of the books that I was reading that I really interested me, Nice House on the Lake, and I have them. And then whatever, if I continue to like them, I'll read. I guess I'll read the rest digitally. But this, I'm not giving up. I'm gonna buy every paper copy of this thing I can get because I really do think that this is gonna be something big for you, for Reggie and for Delia. Just like I said, the art is phenomenal. Smartest man in comics, writing comics. I mean, I don't know what else is better. Like, so those of you guys who are not familiar with Doug, shame on you.
Yep.
But this book is something I think you're gonna want to check out. Like, what's the worst that can happen, right? Take a shot on this bad boy. Read the first one. And for what is it, $3.99 for the trade dress? If you don't want to go nuts buying all the other ones,
Yep.
and
$5.99. Yeah.
give it a read. And once you're hooked and you can't get a hold of the other ones, don't say I didn't tell you so.
Yep.
Because they're gonna be gone. There's a few books out there that I didn't buy right away, and then I couldn't find the goddamn thing. So Doug, I know you got to go. So what we're going to do here is we're going to allow you to kind of, I'm getting, highlight that guy, Dave. Dave, highlight that guy.
Highlight him. Hold on. Here we go.
Highlight this guy, man.
Well,
hold on. There we go. Let me highlight.
This is what we do. You tell us dates, what the meat of what's going on, and anything. If you have appearances, if you got signings coming up after the book comes out, let us know now, man.
Yep. Well, first of all, I want to thank Roger, Dave, and Dave. Thank you so much for taking the time to have me on. I so appreciate it. I do feel that if Isolation is successful, it's going to be because wonderful people in the community helped get the word out. And you guys are great. Thanks for everything you do for the community. So as far as dates, unfortunately, I can't reveal all certain things just yet. But what I will say is that we are hoping to have some announcements soon of some signings that we're going to be doing. One of which is probably going to not be for another month or so. I'm hoping will be at Dewey's Comic City at the Kubert School. So that we're finalizing, but there are a couple others that I can't say just yet because we're locking down a couple of dates. But I am sure Reggie within next week or the week after will give us the green light to announce it. And Roger, as soon as I know, I'm shooting you a DM. So you guys get it. Yeah,
you better, brother. I appreciate you.
So
awesome.
All right, man. As I said, I'm a big fan of yours, and I am looking forward to this in the best way. Just this opportunity to be able to look at this ash can, and I appreciate you for sending us all a copy of this. Just those couple of pages and the art that was in them, and the art that we showed tonight. I'm so looking forward to it.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
All right, my friend. If you, I know you got to go, so thanks for coming in. And until next time, because we would definitely have you back on. Once you become big and famous from this, don't forget us.
Hey, after issue number 1, if you read it and you don't trash it or you don't hate it, call me up. I'd love to come back on after you've read the whole thing to just chat about it. That'd be a lot of fun.
Deal.
So.
Awesome.
Deal, my friend.
All right.
Take care, guys.
Have a great night,
Thanks,
man.
Doug.
Thanks. You too.